Quit eating, folks, 30 seconds to showtime. Grab your seat, leave your drinks to the bar. Hold your breath, put your hands together. We present Stanford Bay's finest star. Who has danced with the Mayor of Guinea? Who has dined with the Queen of Vermont? We trace the voyages of Sinbad. Corresponded with the men who can't live to be. C'est pas la même chose que la vache qui rit. Les vaches font mon ami.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to the G Spot. My name's Geoff with the G. It's the G Spot. And I always like to bring in, I talk to some really, really interesting people on this thing. Usually I have burlesque performers, musicians, sideshow performers. But today I've got somebody really important. I mean, like, part of my shows for doing stuff. And I have the great and wonderful Joe Breda of Old Humble Whiskey. How's it going, Joe?
Those guys there, this guy here. It's going great, man. I'm really excited that I found the G spot today.
Yeah, just I mean, your wives can be very proud of you.
Many have talked about it, few have found it, and I am among them. I'm very excited. It is awesome.
Well, good to hear. Yeah,
glad to be in. I'm drinking my special reserve tonight.
Yeah, I get mine. I'll be ordering some more now that it's starting to get back in stores. I'm really happy about that.
we were out of stock there for a couple of months, and I went through a concerted effort to sell out as many stores as I could in the month of March, and now they are restocking them. So it's good. We're getting more velocity into the stores and out of the stores, and it's awesome. And I'll also tell you this: very few things motivate me more when I'm at stores doing my tastings than somebody coming up and saying, "Oh, you only have 2 bottles left? Okay, I'm going to walk around the store. I'll be right back and grab that bottle." That actually puts a fire under my butt to sell those 2 bottles before that guy comes back. It's kind of mean, but at the same time.
Well, that's fair because the fact of being able to get that, you snooze, you lose sort of mentality. I mean, it makes sense.
Pure FOMO whiskey.
I would be the same way.
But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I'm excited to be here. It's going to be fun. I mean, I haven't seen you in a week?
That's true.
When was
that
up in Austin? It was like a week and a half.
It was like last week because it was last Tuesday because you had a weird surprise background appearance on Gaffing the Truth with me and Scabs, which was funny. While we were talking ghost stuff, which you couldn't hear any of it because I had my headphones in.
Yeah, I could only hear your half of the ghost stuff.
And who knows what we were talking about. Yeah, but that was still a lot of fun. Weirdly enough, I wouldn't have
been very good on that show either. So it was good that I was just hovering in the background.
No, I mean, I'm the total skeptic with everything, so it's also fine. I mean, it's one of those weird sort of. That's how it works. But that's why I think that's what makes it work because I'm the one who goes. I still enjoy a good story regardless of whether or not it's true or not.
Oh yeah.
But it's one of those. But I make a point to go. And some guy, there's one of the people that were on there going, well, why don't you believe? And I was very concerned because I give him a really concise answer. I go, well, it comes down to the fact is that I would know if believe me, my late wife, if who really believed in all that stuff like that, and she knew I was a skeptic, so figured if anything was going to happen, she would show up to show she would do it on purpose just for me and like definitively me because she knew I wouldn't pull up with the wind. That's got to be her. No, I know. I
yeah.
So I'm that weird sort of way.
You see, I'm a big fan of a good story too. You weave a yarn. I mean, I've told plenty of good yarns about where I've come up with the ideas for my whiskey cocktails. Some of them contain a kernel of truth. Some of them are completely fabricated, and some of them are straight up stolen from other people. Some of them. Some of those are good ones too. But there's a whole lot of stuff that can't be explained. But that doesn't mean just because it can't be explained that it defaults to supernatural aliens or any of the your cryptoids or what. Human beings have a very, very vivid imagination. Even firsthand accounts of events
Oh
can
yeah.
be just fanciful, imaginative, uh, you know, things. And our brains, even looking at the clouds, our brains will fill in all the gaps and fill in all the gaps real fast, to the point where you can convince yourself that that's actually what happened. Um,
That
so
is
even
religion in a nutshell.
well, yeah, and to a large extent, that's exactly any kind of religion, any kind of superstition, any kind of uh, fill in the gap sort of thing. And that's kind of why even eyewitness accounts of things I can kind of take with a grain of salt, even if it's multiple eyewitness accounts that kind of corroborate. Because if you get two or three people together with their imaginations, they can fill in the blanks and convince each other that they saw the same thing. That's kind
Yeah.
of, I mean, that's kind of what the Mandela effect is all about. When a group of people can misremember a thing that's wrong and convince themselves and others that they not only remembered it, but they participated in it too. Like, okay, I,
Yeah.
I'm sure that something like that happened. I can be down with that. Cool.
Yeah.
Um, and that's kind of how I mean, UFO sightings and all that stuff. I mean, I'm, I'm sure there's aliens in the universe, but it's a big, 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 big universe.
Yeah.
Big universe.
Uh, no, I agree. I mean, like of all things we talk about, the one I always say that the most plausible thing is the alien stuff versus the other stuff we talk about,
Sure.
with gapping the truth. But I also go, we actually we've talked several times about this sort of stuff on the show, which I'm not going to get into. Guess what? You can go to YouTube and watch all the old episodes of Gapping the Truth. Just look up Gapping the Truth and get to
Oh,
see this guy.
you're
I
on the
mean,
YouTube now with the
for
Gaffing the Truth.
Gapping the Truth is available. All the old episodes.
Cool.
Usually it's like a week. About generally when because like stuff here on Twitch only stays on for like 2 weeks, and
Hmm.
so got to go somewhere, and so
What is your channel on the YouTubes?
it's Gapping the Truth.
Gaffing the Truth. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
subscribe to it right now.
Yeah, there's
That
like 30
way
some there's like
I
30
won't forget.
something episodes, and I already like basically as we get done with the show, I do a quick edit and then I get it ready to go, so that way there'll be a premiere of it in like a week or two afterwards of like that episode on YouTube. So if you want
Cool.
to catch it live, just like this show, and communicate in the chat, you got to do it live right here
Oh,
on the Carney
sorry.
Show. Yeah.
Your music's coming through my. You
Oh, it's
should
okay.
have 10. Well, it said 10. You should have 11 now.
Well, sometimes it takes a minute.
Yeah, I think I am number 11. We'll
Good
get
for
that up.
you.
There
Yeah,
it
no,
is.
it's fine.
11.
Yeah,
Awesome.
there we go.
That's
That's fine. No
exciting.
worries. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and like, we're probably going to be moving on to it. So I've been learning all this sort of stuff with doing the show, like all this sort of show, and like, do you know what? Like with Amazon, you can also sell shows and put shows on Amazon Prime.
Really. See, this is a whole level of stuff that like I started my show. Okay, so guys, y'all can find me over the Old Humble Guy on the Twitch, uh,
Yeah.
Old Humble Distilling Company on YouTube, and we broadcast our show on Twitter, Old Humble, Old underscore Humble, I think. Whatever. You can find us anywhere. I mean, we're not hard to find. I try not to keep my candle under a basket, so to speak. Um, but I started the happy hour, the Old Humble quarantine. God, it was a mouthful of words. The Old
Oh,
Humble
it was, yeah.
Distilling Company quarantine cocktail happy hour, which I now lovingly simply refer to as the Old Humble happy hour.
That makes it easy.
But I started basically as just a way to keep myself busy. Going back through the videos, Facebook is showing me the memories from the first month of the quarantine, and I did a cooking segment with my kids. Did a cocktail. I think the first cocktail show I did was March. God, it would have been March 16th or 17th, probably. I'm not sure. And that
Well,
was technically the first episode, the quarantining.
yeah,
Um,
that's 17th is when everything locked down, and we
right.
didn't do. I think you started probably because
Well,
then that
school closed
and
down before that, though.
yeah, and then the weekend that weekend is when Cabin Fever went live.
Hmm.
So it was like
And I
Wednesday, and then Friday the 24-hour-a-thon for cabin
Right.
fever, and then they started asking. Then like that week after is when like they started doing stuff.
Yeah, and I think I started doing my show the week before, the Monday or Tuesday before they did their 24-hour-a-thon. I think. I can't remember. It's been a year and
It's been
change.
a year. We've slept since then, and it feels like yesterday. Like it's one of those weird sort of things. Is like it feels like yesterday, yet it feels like so long ago at the same
Yeah,
time.
like it just started, but it's
Yeah,
been
and then but
forever.
also you look at
Um,
the stuff going, wow. It's like for me, it's really easy to tell the difference is because I mean I get the like then I was still had my long blue hair,
mhm.
and now I mean in about a month I'm gonna see the feed about me cutting my hair off. Where I shave like down to a level 3 razor, so I got down to here, or actually down to whatever is here, but all
Mhm.
over my head. And so this is what's grown in the past year.
Yeah. And I,
So
I I drew my beard out for the first, say, March, April, May. I shaved for the first time on Memorial Day
because you thought that all right, cool,
because
Memorial Day, perfect,
we were
we'll be
supposed to be
done.
moving back to normal, being able to go out with masks, but no, it was still stay home, wear your mask. 'Cause if you have to go out, don't go out. Bar's still closed. Uh, and I didn't have electricity at this distillery until October. God. But yeah, I mean, I started the happy hour, which is now at Thursdays at 9 o'clock. But mostly to keep myself busy. Um,
Yeah.
mostly to keep myself busy, keep the brand out there, keep talking about the stuff. Because if I didn't do anything for a year, I mean, this all would have wilted on the vine and just died off, and it would have been really bad. Um, couldn't let that happen. I had to stay busy. I had to stay active. I had to keep the brand out in front of people. But it's also
Well,
been a really good chance to get to meet new people and talk to people and continue the process of stay in practice with happy hours. Just you drop into a bar, you grab yourself a drink, you look at the guy next to you, you go, "So what do you do?" And
that's
the
exactly
right
kind
so,
of what I do here. And that's like really funny. I go, yeah, I know what you're talking about. No, it's exactly how I started doing this too. Well, mine is like I go, all right, cool. Like, well, this for this show specifically was like literally like it was like a Monday, and like
Mhm.
Tifa texted like Tifa Tiddlywinks, a really good friend of mine who runs Kevin Fever live stream. She texted me and she goes, "Hey, uh, another some program fell out because people were expecting something different from what the network was." And so she goes, "Hey, do you have something to fill time with?" Because she knew I was at home, and I'm like the weird guy. I go, "All right, cool, I'm gonna learn stuff." And I go, "Well, I think I had an idea of like wanting to do an interview show." And like my first thing was I wanted to talk to people who are really affected by who couldn't do things like get on Twitch, get on YouTube, and things like that. Performers like burlesque performers. That's what initially I want to
Mhm.
talk to, just burlesquers who to do so and be and that's like my first episode was with Coco Electric, who I re-showed that episode last week when I did the G spot last week with Liz de Savoy from Canada. The great
Mhm.
thing about these shows is I get to make friends from all over
Right.
the world. And so I re-showed that particular episode because I went, all right, cool. That was the first one. I figured it's a good thing. My first episode on Carney Show. Then here's the first episode I ever did of the G Spot, and all the information was still pertinent because I mean, the Austin Academy of Burlesque and all this other stuff. All that stuff is still valid. So I went, all right, cool. I'm gonna do that, and then I'll pepper in as time progresses all the other episodes of the G Spot, of which you can still track down if you go to the Devil's Hour .live. You have
Mhm.
access to my Vimeo page, which gives me all the old Devil's Hours and also the G Spots. I'm the
Yeah.
shameless
See,
self promoter.
folks can still catch almost all of my quarantine happy hours. I've trimmed back. I'm doing episode 89 tonight, and I
Yeah.
think I have something like 40 of them still available on the YouTube. I've trimmed back uh, the portfolio that's public, but they're still there. I tried to trim back the ones that I was less excited about and leave the ones that had a little bit higher quality conversation, a little bit higher quality camera.
No, it's
When I
I don't know.
switched over from the computer cam to the nice HD cam that I got up here. Hi, nice HD cam.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, no, my thing is I'd let the warts be there and all, just because I want people to see the progress is the idea.
See,
And plus, it's one of those,
hey,
but also that keeps
that
me in
would,
check. Going, all right, cool. I'll rewatch those shows and go, oh, that's rough. I've thought about like redoing Devil's Hours, like doing some of the old Devil's Hours, and just at least
mhm,
rebroadcast those artists, and just with the updated kind of
yeah,
graphics, like the things I've learned since then. Better camera, because I think at that time I was just using my webcam as well. I
mhm,
only kind of knew how to do the programming stuff. I learned a lot of stuff on the fly, but that's what I like doing. Basically, like I I probably would have kind of still did this maybe with quarantine happening. That's really been the thing. But cabin fever is really what kind of put the fire on me. And then once I went, all right, cool, this is what I'm doing every week, because I was stuck at home until September, so I
right,
had nothing else to do. So in fact, it's giving structure helped a lot.
yeah,
All right,
and
cool. So doing
and you live at
shows.
home with the dog with your dog, so
I
your
have a dog,
day
so
basically consists of walking the dog, and that's the only required thing you had to do for 6 months because your office was
yeah,
closed, your
yeah.
your
We didn't.
shop
Yeah,
was
we didn't.
closed. You were
We
home.
didn't.
You didn't have
We
staging.
yeah, we didn't reopen our shop until
Hmm.
until September. I mean, they had some dry, like basically like curbside service, so they had a couple people there, but they didn't need like a staff
Right.
until
And see, I've
September.
got
That's
I've got my lovely wife and two kids. We watched a shit ton of movies. Uh,
Oh, I
I've
did
been
that too.
at some point. I'm going to do a show probably in the next 2 weeks. Where tonight's probably where I'm going to start doing it. Where I start listing the movies that I've watched over the course of the last year, and then starting to narrow it down to a top 10 list of movies that I've seen during the quarantine. And some of them were stinkers. Some of them are really bad. Some of them are really
Well, yeah.
good. Yeah, we watched all of the Marvel movies. We watched all of the Back to Future movies, all of the Star Wars movies, all of the Harry Potter movies.
Well, yeah, and
That by itself is 50 movies.
yeah, I'd say you get into those franchises. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did
man.
that, and I watched a lot of TV shows as well, because it's one of the things
Hmm.
like I can work on stuff and like have a TV show going on.
Right.
Some stuff I like, I'll rewatch something. There's a couple of series I probably watched like 3 or 4 times during quarantine, just because I can have it in the background while I do stuff. Like
Sure.
The Office, I don't know how many times I've watched The Office now, just because I
Sure.
can. But yeah,
We went through a few series too. The Good Place.
Good Place
I
is
ran
good.
through that a couple of times. I've just gone completely blank. The Firefly series, but that's only 10 episodes. That's so. I
Yeah.
think what I'm going to probably do is do the series is as a single thing, uh, and
Well, yeah, you just want to do
even
that
the movie
blanket.
franchises do them as a, not break out any of the Infinity Gauntlet saga from any single movie. But I may do like so include the Avengers movies on the list and say, okay, out of all these 26, here's the one representative out of all of them.
Well, yeah, you just talk about of the Marvel movies, like
Yeah,
fucking like yeah, like just Winter Soldier is like the bomb, or Civil
yeah,
War,
that
or
was a good
whatever.
movie. There's no Rogue One, but it was a great movie.
Oh, Rogue One, yeah, like the war movie that happened to be set in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I was talking with Ryan Adam Wells when we were talking the Star Wars franchise a few weeks back. Gosh, that was probably January-ish. But yeah, that was out of the Star Wars franchise. That's I still think that's my all-time favorite because of just the way it goes. And I remember watching it the first time watching it and the way it ended, and it was just
Oh,
yeah,
it's I
quite well
mean,
done.
it's like no, it's like the things like those weird kind of one-offs that they started doing with Star Wars. I really enjoyed. Like I think I really enjoyed Solo. It's the weird cape. It's just a caper film that happens to
Yeah,
be set in the. And once you go, oh yeah, it just happens to be these people, and like
yeah.
Donald Glover fucking just like owning being Lando.
Hell, oh my god. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the solo movie. I thought it was way better than the hate that was dumped on it.
I
But
think it's just because
it
people
was
like do the fucking. It's like Han Solo, man. It's like
yeah,
sacrosanct. You don't.
it was
I guess.
different than I guess your typical type of Star Wars because it was a caper movie. It probably I think I would have preferred to see a Han Solo series where it was a series of like 30 to
Ooh.
45 minute
Do
Han
like a
Solo
whole
capers. Yeah,
like Disney Plus sort of. Ooh, that would have been really
yeah. So
good.
instead of it being like all of Han Solo's backstory was like whatever 5 days worth of activity in the Han Solo movie, plus whatever happened to him as a kid.
Yeah.
When like he had like a career as a space pirate, whatever, a
Yeah.
smuggler, and like his entire career was boiled down into a 2 hour movie. Like
Well, here's the thing, though.
that doesn't
But
feel fair to Han Solo.
but the yeah, okay. So the talk was initially was that could have potentially been a launch into like at least like a franchise, like two or three
Yeah,
films.
sure.
And I mean, the movie did well. Technically speaking, financially speaking, the movie did well enough. But the problem was it was so riddled with other issues behind the scenes.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact is, like, you had directors, and then those directors, like, 3 weeks in, got removed, and uh, suddenly you have a new director. And, well, the new director coming in is Ron Howard, so that's good. But it's still one of those things I go, when you're plagued with that sort of stuff, and the office, like the corporate office or whatever, had the hunters of Star Wars, they were going, we want this much money to justify doing anything more. And what they didn't even know, they go, well, you're like, we want $1 billion worth of money because that's in the age of
right,
Avengers, that's just how it is now, and especially
right,
with the
right.
House of the Mouse House. So if your movie doesn't, if you're a big with a big tent mark movie, and if you don't make $1 billion, what are you even doing with your life?
Exactly.
So
They got to move the needle for Disney.
which is completely different versus like the old school Star Wars, which like was all completely. Dude, Star Wars movies were independent films because like George
Right.
Lucas just bankrolled all of those on his own. He didn't.
Exactly. 150 million for an independent film is huge, but for 150
Right.
million for Star Wars today, shit, bitch, come on.
The cost of the problem is the cost of how to put movies together now, and like like almost a third of the budget for a lot of big budget movies is strictly for advertising.
Hmm.
So,
That's about right.
that's included in the total cost of the film. So you still have to make that much money back too because they're figuring in the cost of the advertising. So you go, all right, like $150 million film, you know, 50 million of that is just advertising.
Hmm.
So technically speaking, the film actually only costs $100 million to actually physically make. So if they make $100 million, they're still technically in the hole because advertising.
Yeah, that's yeah, interesting.
It's
But
ridiculous.
but
Ridiculous.
that, and then they kind of stop counting the revenue at some point, and then it keeps making money in streaming and DVDs and overseas and all the other E's. You know,
No, what's really it's yeah, but because of how they do stuff,
domestic
because
box
also,
office.
well, the fact is also the other thing they also put into them for some of these franchise stuff is they also figure in the costs they figure in the losses of other films within the studio.
Oh
So
yeah.
basically, like for example, it was like the third Harry Potter movie, which made like a good like so much money, is still technically in the red because of this.
Interesting.
Because basically, it's like it's. I mean, it's like like it's also a thing like it's just a way old ways of doing. Basically, because I know this more through the music industry, is uh, is that a lot of times the big for labels and studios, the big tentpole movies that make a bunch of money help offset the costs and losses of the movies that don't do well. So what's interesting, the fact is as we're getting, especially in today's age. Oh, look, there's
Hey,
my
here's your
co-host right
puppy.
there, Shinobi. Uh, so in today's day and age, where especially now, where it's hard to say where like the idea of how studios are doing stuff and money is. So like outside of these handful of franchises, everything's gonna be like tiny budget items. So like I think the days of the thirty
Sure.
million dollar film or the 10 million, like it's either going to be the $1 to $2 million movie, or it's going to be the $150 million movie. There's going to be fewer and fewer in between films
Yeah. You
because
think it'd be easier to make a movie, like if you just got a script or whatever, and you're like, yeah, I just need a couple $1 million to make the movie. You think they'd be handing those deals out more frequently because it's like, yeah, we got $2 million, we'll throw on whatever. Maybe we'll strike it rich
it's
with the $2 million ones with the, it's like they're buying penny stocks. Like maybe
well
this one will
for
go up to $5 and it'll be awesome. But
well for that sort of stuff is you'll be most likely finding it's easier to find smaller investors in that sort of stuff. And
yeah,
so all you have to do is hit the big. All you have to do is go to the big festivals like Sundance and whatnot, because that's half the
mm,
reason why these small films go in film like Cannes, Sundance, et cetera, is because the studios will show up and go, "Oh, cool, I want that movie," and they'll go, "Here's a check for that movie," and they'll buy that movie, and then for whatever that thing is. So like if you get investors to invest for like a $1 million movie, or we'll just say a million, like million, $2 million movies,
mm,
and you show it and it gets really good reviews at so you get into Sundance or a festival and it does really really well, and Warner shows up or whoever, or like some like production house that's associated with those things like Legendary or whatever. They'll see the movie going, hey, we really like it. We'll buy the movie for $5 million.
mm.
Plus, you'll get a cut of distribution, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But like you've already made your like you as an independent production house have already made your money back.
Right.
So
That
that's
makes sense.
nice. So like for the small films, yes, I think that's why if you notice a lot lately on like even things like TV and streaming, there's a lot of content of the small films because just the costs are so it's easy to do, and or things like Netflix and like Hulu are buying up all this sort of stuff is because I mean they're actually making money because everybody's stuck at home, so everybody's been buying the streaming services. So
Yeah, they're in. Uh, those guys are in deep with those. It's like Adam Sandler's making movies through Netflix almost
oh,
exclusively
he's
now.
been doing that for years. Like he was one of the first people. I think he was one of the first people they signed with for like a multi-screen, like a
Multi
multi-movie
movie.
contract.
Yeah,
Because his movies like they're relatively inexpensive to make. Because
yeah.
even like because he'll just cast his friends and they're not because it's that because the friends he casts are the people who like they're not going to make a ton of money, but it's consistent money,
I
and
watched
so
a
they're really
Happy
going.
Madison production on Netflix just last night, or night before last, called Father of the Year, and it's got David Spade, Adam Sandler's kid, Adam Sandler's wife. Uh, it didn't have any of the other Sandler hanger-ons though. Just his kid and his wife and David Spade. And I'm pretty
Well,
sure it was a Happy
that's
Madison production. But it wasn't a terrible movie. It wasn't great. David Spade cannot carry a Boston accent for an entire 2 hour movie or 90-minute movie. And that was probably the most annoying part of the movie his Boston
uh,
accent that kept coming and going. You're like, stop it.
nah. It's no, it's been fine. Like weirdly enough, it's like movies. Unless like there's just something that just grabs me, I just like I'll watch some stuff and sometimes I'll go so far and I go, what else is on?
Yeah.
And just but that's the great like it's the grace of having right now. I do miss going to theaters, and I can't wait
Mm.
to whenever whenever I can feel comfortable going to a theater again.
I can't
Um,
remember what I liked about. I remember going to theaters, obviously, because we would go to theaters. I don't I don't remember what I liked so much about theaters that I can't get at home.
I
A
like
live show is one thing, but going to a movie theater and watching a movie with a bunch of other people versus watching the same movie at home. I know the sound quality is better, but I don't know if it's that much better. The screen's huge, but
I go for this.
I
I
mean,
go for the sensory experience. So like,
if
I
it's a
get that.
big movie, like Star Wars
Yeah,
or Superman or something like that, but just watching like I don't know, James Bond on a big screen versus James Bond on the home TV.
I would
It's
say James Bond would also be a good big movie to see because of the big action scenes. I mean, I would say like but like the big, like basically what they call the talking head films, where basically just people are talking and having small
Yeah,
conversations throughout the entire film. I kind of get that, but I like being enveloped in the scene. So like
I
I
get that with
sit
the
right
sound
there in
behind
this.
you and everything.
It's like, but it's like I sit in such a, I find that sweet spot in the theater where I can sit and
Hmm.
my entire view is taken up by the screen. I'm right space where all the sound will hit me just in the right level, so that way I'm completely enveloped into whatever it is. And I'm also the asshole that will report anybody who's being too loud and obnoxious. I'm not afraid of doing that. And some of the theaters, you can actually get a little buzzer,
Mm.
and so if there's an issue, you can like you hit the buzzer, and people like they'll show up and like listen to stuff like that because
Mm.
that's what I said. I'm paying for the experience, and so if you're
Yeah,
disrupting my experience, no, there's some stuff you can get away like really raucous and like raunchy, like really raucous comedies is designed for the crowd. So like
sometimes,
that,
yeah,
and those, yeah, like that are really cheap scale or cheap scare movies are also designed to be with a crowd in mind. So I'm okay with those, but like like intense dramas or thrillers, like you were like really got
yeah,
to pay attention to shit. Or like, yeah, like so that's why I like doing that sort of stuff. Or the people, I mean, if they're good and just cheering and being nice, yeah, all right, fine. It's the asshole with their phone up going,
yeah.
yeah,
And well,
mom. So
see,
this is what's going on, and so yeah,
that kind of ruins the
done.
whole movie experience. I mean, it's rare, obviously, but that does ruin the whole damn thing for me. But you know, like the whole, I mean, most of everything that I did in theaters, I can do at home. The sound system, you're right, the immersive sound system, that's a big bonus. But
Yeah.
you know, if I had the surround sound speaker system at my house, I could get that at home. Uh,
I
it's
don't know.
probably
It's
going to take
just
me going to a theater to remind me what I miss about going to theaters because
yeah, because
I
there's
don't
just some
remember
stuff
what
you
I
can't
miss
get.
yet. I can't
Yeah, it's
think of
just
it.
like yeah, I've had friends like who had like home theaters. Because yeah, it's just the same. When I sit down and watch, I go, don't get me wrong, it's really cool, but it still feels like I'm sitting in your living room watching a movie.
Yeah,
There's just it's just I don't know, but I'm an old school like it's like well, I love new technology for stuff like that. Don't get me wrong, I have a you've been to my
oh yeah,
apartment, and so I've got a big 55-inch television, so I enjoy watching big things and doing stuff. But it's still not quite the same, and I can't really put my finger on. I can't, or I really can't explain it so really well until you just have to do it. And so,
yeah.
but
I
anyways,
do now. When
I
early in the quarantine, we watched Hamilton, and that
yeah,
was a visceral experience of what I miss about live theater was the
you hear the crowd.
the
Yeah,
crowd and sitting there watching it and hearing the crowd go nuts and thinking, God, I wish I was there in as a part of that crowd cheering. That I miss of the live theater, the live music, the live experience there. But that I never. That's a rare thing at the movie theater of being a part of the crowd. There's only a handful of movies that you stay and clap for the end. Uh, a
it's those
handful.
weird. It's those big tentpole movies that it's just
Yeah.
how it works. Like, much as I loved watching like the Avengers, like Endgame and all stuff like that, like at home, which I'd rewatch. But I remember seeing it in the theater when it happened, and just like that crowd experience, even with a
Hmm.
movie, is so powerful. And so I think that's also part of the high that you're chasing going to theaters and live stuff is being part of that visceral experience of being around
Yeah.
people experiencing something.
Yeah. That whole stunned silence after Infinity War. Is
Yeah,
that what it was? Yeah.
that
That
was the
just
first one.
stunned
Yeah, yeah. At
when
the
it
end,
ends and it goes dark and everybody's just like, what the
the
hell just happened? Uh,
fuck.
what what was the holy shit? Are they all dead? Are they really dead? Is there another sequence? They're pranking us, right? Something's about to come on, and then like the lights come on and they let the hounds out.
No, so but
Y'all have to leave. There's no more.
we got to bring. Gee, we got like 10 minutes to clean the theater and bring more people in because we get the.
They're
You
all
want
really
just
dead. Get out.
I worked at an AMC for a minute, and so yeah, we basically had to do that once or twice for some of these movies. They're going like the lights come on and people are just sitting there waiting for like the credits have ended and they're still
Yeah.
waiting. And I'm just going, dude, man, That's it, man. They can, 5 minutes after the credits ended, guess what? There's not another killer scene, or we're waiting to like, because like I was in management, but I also helped clean the theater, so it's like there's people like waiting and I'm going, hey, just so you guys aware, there's no end credit scene. I mean, you can hang out and see who the best boy is, but there's no credit scene.
Get out.
And like that's usually they go, oh, we didn't know. They go because that's become the du jour thing to happen,
Right.
especially with like the
They,
big movies.
they don't do end credit scenes for Matt McConaughey movies. Get out of here. Jesus.
No, it would have been continuously through the credits if there was something happening, but that would have been No, I mean, we still got time, and I enjoy so chatting with you and stuff like that. But let's talk whiskey real quick, so we can get people
Yeah, whiskey.
the reason why. I mean, I'll talk to you about movies all day long.
Yeah. So whiskey is made on every continent in the world. Oh,
do they
our
make
whiskey specifically, my whiskey. Yeah, it's made just here in the United States.
Do they actually make whiskey in Antarctica?
I'm thinking if you got a bunch of nerds and a bunch of grains and a bunch of science equipment, they're making whiskey.
Oh, I'm sure there's a liquor being made, but is it whiskey?
If it's made from cereal grains and it's distilled up to 160 proof, they may be making Everclear. They may be making vodka.
Yes.
It could be straight up moonshine. Okay, so here's the definitions, the breakdowns.
Sure.
So if it's distilled up to over 189 proof, it's vodka. So the higher the proof, once it passes 189 proof, it is vodka. Okay, doesn't matter what it comes from. It can be made from molasses. It can be made from grapes. It can be made from grains. It can be made from potatoes. Doesn't matter. 189 proof vodka. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
Between 160 and 189, you're in kind of this gray zone where you don't have a defined spirit, and it's technically moonshine because it's not a defined spirit. There's no legal definition for a spirit that's distilled above 160 proof and below 189. And moonshine is the definition of whatever it is that's not defined. So you can take your potatoes and your sugar and ferment it and distill it. That's moonshine because there's no definition for something made from potatoes and sugar. Same thing with corn and sugar. It's basically fermented sugar. It's moonshine. It's not rum because rum is fermented molasses. And when you get to the liquors that are distilled under 160 proof, now you start having names. You have rum if it's from molasses. You have whiskey if it's from a cereal grain. You have tequila if it's agave and made in Mexico. Mezcal if it's made anywhere else from agave. Scotch if it's in Scotland. And a cereal grain. God, I think that's pretty much everything. I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting. And then the next classification is your brandies that are under 120 proof, and they're usually made from some kind of fruit, distilled fruit like a wine, a distilled fermented fruit. So, but it can be anything. It doesn't have to be grapes. It can be peaches. It can be apricots. It can be whatever. And then, of course, on all of that, the kind of layer on top of that is your moonshines that don't quite fall into any of those categories. It's sugar and radishes and whatever else you throw in the water, boil it, and basically it's fermented sugar, and that's where your definition for moonshine comes in.
Or liqueurs.
It's undefined. Yeah. And liqueurs are another one.
Fancy.
It's usually a lot lower in alcohol, and it's usually a flavor mixed with a base liquor of some sort. So there you go. So I'm fairly confident that they're probably making whiskey in Antarctica.
Making some sort of liquor, anyway.
But certainly some sort of liquor. Yeah. You get nerds and equipment anywhere it can ferment stuff.
There are Russians down there. I'm sure there's some weird Antarctic vodka down there.
Exactly. I mean, it's not hard to make wine. You can open up a can of pureed fruit, dump it in a bucket, throw in some bread yeast, and wait for a couple of weeks, and you've got shitty wine, but you've got wine. And then if you've
I
got
mean,
fermenting distilling equipment, you can turn that wine into brandy or vodka or whatever you want to do. So
I mean that's I mean they make that turlet wine in the prisons. So
yes, they do. So there you go. That's my little side tangent of the definitions. But we here at the Old Humble Distilling Company in Humble,
yeah,
Texas, we make the finest damn whiskey. Award-winning whiskey, gold medal award-winning at the London International Spirits Competition in 2020, and silver medal winning whiskey at the London International Spirits Competition. Hey Jeff, you have any idea how many other American whiskeys won gold and silver medals at the London International Spirits Competition in 2020?
oh, I don't know, a dozen, 10 dozen.
You're an idiot. Of course not.
And wait, we
Zero
lost
is the
Joe. We
number.
lost Joe. That's kind of what I figured.
Zero. Old Humble Distilling Company was the only company to win a gold and silver. There were other companies that won silvers and one that won a bronze that is only half American. The other half is Japanese. I'm sure y'all can figure out how many American whiskey companies are American and Japanese. Um, they won a bronze with one of their bourbons, but no other American whiskey won a gold medal. We are the ones, and I'm quite proud of that fact.
That's very good. Yeah. And it's
Um,
London, England versus things like, London, Texas or
or
London,
London,
Ontario.
Ontario. Every once in a while, I get contacted by somebody. They're like, "Hey, we do this publication in London. Would you like to advertise with us?" I'm like, "Are you London, Canada, or London, England? Because we won a gold medal in London, but it was London, England." They said, "No, it's Canada." I'm like, "Man, we're not in that market yet."
Yeah, no, that's
We're also not in the English market either, but um, we at least have some kind of opening in England.
that's
Uh,
true because at least when you go, hey, I want to do this thing. Well, here's why it's worthwhile. That at least that's one less hurdle of the thousands of probably hurdles to try to send a whiskey
right.
to England because
And it,
that's
and it
where
was
whiskey.
nice having that kind of reputation in England because I could then go to distributors and importers in England and say, "Hey, we did this thing." But it just so happens that during the entire year after we won that competition, they were not importing anything from the United States that they weren't already importing. So that was awesome. Great timing. I've got great, fantastic timing.
But you are making strides at least in the U.S. trying to bring more stuff throughout the U.S. So that's good.
Absolutely.
Slowly but
Yeah, we're
surely.
all through Texas, from El Paso to Beaumont and McAllen to Lubbock. We
Yeah,
are 100 spec stores across the state, including one near you. And we are in Total Wines across the state, about 30 Total Wines with our straight whiskey. Our special reserve hasn't made it to the shelves in Total Wine. We have just finished a capital campaign that will allow us to, well, we haven't just finished it. There's still about 2 weeks left in the capital campaign, about 14 days. We've passed our minimum campaign fundraising goal.
that's
So
good.
it's a successful campaign. It's just not finished yet. But that's going to allow us to install new equipment, build out our tasting room, and begin really expanding our operations so that we can produce more and bring it into more markets, both here in the States, both here in Texas and in other states across this great union of ours, and possibly even up into Canada and maybe
Yeah,
even England,
yeah,
possibly Japan.
that's yeah. I know people in all those places. So,
Yeah, I,
and
I'd like to
when I
make the trip to
travel,
Japan
I would love
just
to.
to
I would love to
just to be able to
tower
say
over
I'm
people.
huge in Japan.
That's basically all I would do. So at 6'2", I know I can
Yeah,
tower over most people. So
I'm about 5 inches taller than the average. I think you're about 6, 7.
yeah, no, it's but no, I like because I'll be with me starting to travel a bit more. I'd like to be able to make sure that Old Humble's available in places I travel. So
That would be fantastic. I would like to follow you on your travels with my whiskey.
because
Be there in spirit.
because uh, because I'll be in New York next month, and I know that it is available in New York. So
We're trying. We got an in on a
technically,
we've got an in on a liquor store in a town called Fishkill, New York. I think it's Fishkill, New York, which is just a little bit north of New York City. I wasn't able to get any takers in New York City proper, But there was also the issue where they're not doing a whole lot of in-store sales. They're still doing online sales. So they're not taking in a bunch of new. They're just wanting a whole bunch of stores taking in new product and new labels during the pandemic, during quarantine. Uh, a lot of it was we're interested, but we're not ready yet, or they wanted to know what my online sales presence was. And without being available in the state, we didn't have an online sales presence in the state. So it was kind of this chicken and egg thing. Like, we need you to carry it so that we can have an online sales presence. And we'll make a renewed push in 2021, later in 2021 and 2022, when things loosen up a little bit more.
No, that's fair. That just means when I travel, I'm gonna be checking a bag anyways. There
Yep.
might be some extra stuff in my checked bag.
It doesn't really help matters that there's no Total Wines in New York. Apparently, the state laws in New York don't allow for chains and multiple rooftop ownership of liquor stores. You can only own one, apparently,
Yeah.
in New York State. So where we're in Total Wine here in Texas, it's easier to get into Total Wine in California or Total Wine in Florida.
Yeah,
But
because it's just
exactly.
Yeah, with New
Because you
York,
just tell
you
them,
have
like,
to
we
go
did
to
really
each
well
store.
here, add us in this store, add us in
Yeah.
these chains, add us in those chains. But going from Texas to New York, it's just like going from Imperial Liquor here on the corner in our neighborhood to Copperhead Liquor on that corner in our neighborhood. And they don't care what I've done over there, and they don't care what we do over there. It's just one store. And it's a little harder to break in there, but it's not impossible. And I will solve that particular Rubik's Cube over the course of the next several months.
No, because it's my plan is to bring out, because with my travels coming up, I plan on having some extra stuff in my checked bag so that way I can help spread the gospel. And,
There you go.
Hopefully in like New York area and the Maryland area that I can help
Absolutely.
at least get some other people there to talk about it so they can like hassle their local liquor stores. Because no, it's amazing. Why do you not have this sort of thing? I'm kind of working on it now. No, it's cool. In fact, actually, below you, anybody wants to do, you actually see the www.oldhumbledistilling.com, so you can see what's all going on with Old Humble Distilling, and plus, it even has a link to the MainVest account where you can still invest and get in on the ground floor for this great and wonderful whiskey.
Let me say a little bit about that. So this capital campaign that we're doing, it's a crowdfunded capital campaign. So for as little as $100, they can invest in the distillery. It's not a gift, it's not a contribution, it's not a donation. It is an actual investment. So unlike a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe, I'm not giving you product or props or anything like that. You're actually putting money into a fund with an investment company. It's a revenue-based note that is registered with the SEC. There's documents with Edgar. You can go look at. It's actually my signature's on file with the SEC now, and these documents for my company, not just for documents with another company. And you invest the money. You commit the $100, at least $100, up to $200,000 if you're so inclined. You commit the money, and then on April 22nd, they'll withdraw the money, and we're fully, the funds get transferred over to our account. But then what happens is every quarter you get paid a portion of our revenue. 2 to 5% of our revenue comes from us back to MainVest, and it gets distributed out to the investors. And you get paid based on how much you've invested, it pays back 180% over the course of 7 years. So it comes out to something like a 12% return. But the total return over 7 years is 180%, and it's based on revenue. So as we grow, that payment increases too. So the first few payments are going to be a little bit slim, but towards the end of it, when we actually start hitting our stride and everything's in place and everything's running, those payments get much larger. And it averages out, if it's $100, it averages out to something like $25 a year, which is the price of our straight whiskey. So you invest $100 and you basically get paid back a bottle of whiskey each year.
And there are worse things. And there are worse things too, like because when you think about you, and I'm telling you, the people who were watching this, over the course of the year, you've wasted more than $100 all said and done on dumber stuff that gets even less return. So for
Yeah.
$100,
I mean,
it's
I
not a
know
bad
people who
thing.
spent that much on pizza in a month easily.
Oh yeah.
I'm those people.
I've blown bigger money on things like like the thing is like also the difference is like I've blown $100 over the course of a month, not all at once. So that's
Sure.
also the difference. Although I have blown $100 on dumb shit before too. So
Hell, I've seen people blow $100 on whiskey. Like, well, we don't want to invest in the main best, but we'll buy 3 bottles of whiskey. Well, that's $100. I mean, there you go, easy.
but the different but I guess like in that
But they
respect
get to
because
drink the whiskey right away.
that's more of a meat because that's an immediate return. So I get that
Right.
level. So I go, all right, cool, but I can give you $100 now and I get whiskey versus I can give you
Hmm.
$100 and I'll get something in the future, but the
Yeah,
future's over
absolutely.
there. I get this here.
Hmm.
It's or you can do
I get it.
guess what?
I understand
Guess
it
what?
completely.
You can do both.
Yeah, you absolutely can do both.
It's like when I talk to people about music, I go, all right, cool, go buy the record on SoundCloud or Bandcamp, like smaller bands, and then stream their music on Spotify and Apple because you get the immediate need for buying the album, but also like you're still supporting them by doing the streaming because you still get money back. So like main vesting is like it's like Spotify for money.
Hmm.
So they'll help them out over time, and you'll help you out over time. So
Absolutely.
invest.
And
Uh,
we're going to actually have our first concert at the distillery coming up on May 16th. I'm trying to book the band. We may have, I don't want to jinx it.
and was it one of the people we were talking about?
It is one of the people that we are mutually appreciative of their music, uh, tint music at that. We've
Hey,
seen and hung out with them both at the River Revival. Uh,
yeah,
and that's I don't want to jinx it, but uh, it's for our Memorial Day concert. We're going to record the concert ahead of time on May 16th, which is a Sunday. We're going to have a small crowd of 20 or 30 people, mostly supplied by the local whiskey club that can be coming out. Hopefully, they'll be able to make it. They have their tasting on the 15th. Hopefully, these guys will be able to come out on the 16th and enjoy the concert. Um, I call it a concert. It's basically a performance, an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, if they can perform. And, we'll have food and all that stuff. And that'll be like our first semi-live performance. And then that'll be coming out on the YouTube channel for Memorial Day. We'll premiere that out for our Memorial Day celebration that we do every year, along with a slew of other entertainment portions that'll be
yeah,
coming out with that. Uh,
yeah. I
so
was a
yeah,
part of the last. Yeah, I was a part of the last 2 years of it. So,
yeah, it's gonna be a good time. It's
and
gonna be a
there
real
might
good
be
time. And
some.
you may be a
And
part of this one too. I need a couple of live guests that I can chat with and have a little conversation with.
well,
So
depending on because when I might, it's like my thing because I don't live in Houston anymore, so it's a little bit more difficult. But at the very least, I'll submit some stuff.
I mean, we
But
can,
if at times,
yeah, just a little cocktail and chat, easy,
yeah,
easy.
or we can do it this way too, depending on timeline. Or we can like be there live on stage because I'll be fully back. Like I'm getting my second shot on Sunday, so
Me too. Well, no, wait, mine's
uh,
on the 17th.
I'm on the
Mine's in 2 weeks,
11th.
but
So
I'm very excited. Uh,
I'll be fully vaxxed up, and so it'll be really nice to go do and see people again.
I cannot wait to be able to go outside again, grab some squirrels, and just lick them
Oh,
because I'm pretty sure I'm allowed to do that once I get the vaccine. Just doorknobs and window panes and squirrels and
oh,
pigeons and just
I
licking on everything. Nom,
I
nom, nom.
miss licking window panes so much.
I go to Darwin's and just lick the countertop from one end all the way to the other.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I
I'll
know
be
the
vaccinated,
people.
man. I have superpowers.
I'd just be happy my phone will work better. That's really all I'm looking forward to.
I'm gonna go to the tallest building I can find and fly to the next one. Superman. pretty sure that's how the vaccines work.
So in lieu of flowers, send
Send $100 to our main Vest account. You can find it on www.oldhumbledistilling.com.
That's right. Go do that because apparently Joe's family is going to need the money. So no, thank we're hey, you know it's almost out of time, man. It's like nothing for us to talk,
Wow.
which is great.
Yeah, these happy hours blow through. Yeah. But I will say this: at 1,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel, I will fight a kangaroo.
Good to know. So you heard that, everybody.
Yep.
When this goes, watching it later, Joe Breda, Old Humble Whiskey, is going to fight a kangaroo with 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. So look up Old Humble Guy on YouTube, follow and subscribe.
There you go.
And then I will. You know what? I'll even go farther. You get 1,000 things, you'll fight a kangaroo. I will be the MC for that event.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, they're opening up an aquarium down the street that has kangaroos for some strange reason. Kangaroos in the aquarium. I'm gonna go fight one.
I will come down and I will MC that event as I watch this happen. It's going to be a weird it's making me think of the Mighty Boosh. They have an episode about fighting kangaroos, and it's
they just sit there all smug with their vests and fedoras, and you just want to punch them. Ugh, stupid kangaroos.
Kangaroos don't have vests or fedoras.
You don't know. You don't know these kangaroos. They're
okay. Anyways, we're just about out of time. So everybody, make sure you follow Old Humble Distilling on all the social medias, including things like I have the Instagram underneath them, but make sure like Twitter, Facebook, all that fun stuff. Go to oldhumbledistilling.com. Find out more of the story of Old Humble Distilling and invest $100. You know what? That's less Uber Eats this month. It's a well worth sort of thing at least, and or do more. The more you invest, the more you get the return. And because anybody who's had anybody I've showcased this whiskey to, they go, "Well, that's really good whiskey."
And it's not an if at this point; it's a win because it is it's a successful campaign. It's not done yet. If you put the money in, you will get the return because it is a funded campaign. So.
Yeah. It's guaranteed. Yeah, it's all like now it's gravy, man. So if you invest now, you're guaranteed return now versus the beforehand where you're going, I don't know if I'm going to get money back.
Yeah.
Now you're
going to get money back. This guy can raise the funds. I mean,
now it's all easy for you, man. This is easy money. Easy money. It's easy long-term money, so don't expect a quick investment money back, but it'll come back to you. Just now it's gonna be a lot of fun, and plus you get to talk with me sometimes too, because guess what, I'm in on that too. So, anyways, everybody, thank you, Joe, so much for tuning in. I know you've got stuff you got to do in just a minute, so everybody, be cool, be safe, be groovy. See you guys. See you guys on Tuesday with Scabs, where we'll be talking weird science experiments and gapping the truth. So everybody, be safe, be cool, be groovy, and as always, keep drinking.
Cheers.
Yeah.